What's going on, everyone? So, one of the biggest questions with the series From is what is Fromville, right? Is it this pocket dimension? Is it this place of, mind? Is it a place you go when you die, right? And you saw Tabitha and Jim, writing on their wall all these various questions and asking every question. And you get to the point where Tabitha finally asks, right? Like, did we survive the crash? Right? Because they got there through this crash, right? They got there through, an accident, right? And so it does kind of beg the question of like, hey, like, is everybody here dead? Is this like some type of purgatory, right? Now, there are clues that that's not necessarily the case, that these people are indeed alive, right? Not everybody that got there through a crash, right? Everybody saw the tree, but not everybody got there through, some devastating crash in which it appears that they all, met their end, or, they died elsewhere or whatever. At least not that we've seen unpack yet. Is it possible that, maybe that is what unfolds, and maybe we see, like Boyd and his family actually did get into a crash, and, they just thought that they were here driving around or whatever. Like, could that be the case? Sure. But as of right now, we only have the information we have to go off of. And the information we have to go off of right now is that no, not everybody is dead or potentially died and then led here. Some people were totally fine, ended up showing up, and ended up here. Some people, yes, did indeed crash, or had some car problems, whatever, and then were able to escape. Another kind of clue that, like, not everybody is dead is you see Tabitha and you see the markings from her and the glass, right? Or appears to be the glass, right? Because she was pushed out of this lighthouse. Now, obviously they said that they found her on the, some hikers were hiking, they found her on the side of dirt road. So, you could argue, okay, well, it's gravel, right? Like, it could be. But it also could be that it's the glass that shattered and it's all over her, scratched up her face and her body and stuff like that. Like, and, the Fromville just kind of dropped her off on this path. And lo and behold, now she's trying to figure out and navigate the real world, or what appears to be the real world, right? But what this would signal, if this is really the case, is that, no, her body was in Fromville, that her actual physical presence was there. It's not just a mental state. It's not just her soul or her essence. But again, what is it? Okay, if not everyone is necessarily dead, what could it be? Well, what if it's a form of purgatory, right? It's not heaven. It's not hell. It's kind of this place that you're waiting around in, right? And I mean, look, you go back to Purgatory, there are horror stories of Purgatory, right? Like, it's not this just place of sunshine and rainbows, and right, because it's not heaven, right? Like, what if Fromville is this, is an interpretation of Purgatory, right? I don't think it's, Purgatory in the sense of, what, scripture or, history has said. I think it may potentially be more closer to an interpretation, but you also got to think of the show and who the creators are behind it, which are the people that made Lost. Now, without spoiling Lost, even though, Lost has been around forever now, if you haven't seen it at this point, but, if you're familiar with Lost and you're familiar with how it ended in the end result, it would kind of make sense that this is kind of the route and approach that they would take with this show. Now, I don't think, obviously, that's the obvious thing, because, like, that it's this form of death and, they're in this place. So I don't think that they would I don't think that this is just going to be Lost 2.0. I definitely think that this is going to have a sort of deviation. I do think that there is going to be differences, but I also could see this being this place, right? Like, and you have these sort of demons, you have these monsters, these creatures that are hunting these people in Purgatory, and what if the monsters that get you, you end up in hell, right? Like if you die, or if you die in this purgatory place, you cease to exist. That's always a real possibility, right? Like, and you see all these characters, and it appears that they have their physical presence, right? They have their meat suits, so to speak, right? Like they're clearly there, and they all ended up there. This clearly seems to be some form of pocket dimension. This seems to be some form of, place that you can go, but you can't necessarily reach. You can't just show up there, right? Like you can't just, pick and choose wherever you want to go. Now, look, there probably is a door that you can come in and out of, and it like the trailer for season 3 is kind of leading you on this path to believe that Tabitha got out. I'm not personally super sold on Tabitha actually escaped. I think that it's more likely that this is just kind of another layer. But like think of like things like Dante's Inferno and the layers of hell. Right? Like what if this is a form of hell? Right? This is this sort of purgatory. This is the first stage. And then you get out of that and you end up in a hell, or you end up in a heaven, right? Also, look at where Tabitha is. She's in this place of advancement, civilization, right? It appears to be. Is it possible that, it's just a more advanced version of where she came from? Sure. Right? Like, Fromville is clearly hundreds, if not thousands of years old at least. I mean, Victor's been there, probably 40 years plus. And then there's also the scratches on, the wood dating back to the 1500s. So clearly this place is hundreds, if not thousands of years old. To think that there aren't people that have adapted and survived and, figured it out and created these advancements, like, I just think is silly. Like, of course it's a possibility. No, it doesn't mean that it is, but it is a possibility. So again, what if she's gone to a more peaceful part of it? What if she's gone to like this form of like a heaven, right? Like you have the purgatory stage. If you die, you have this hell stage. If these monsters end up doing what they want to do, you end up going to this hell stage, and then you have this sort of heaven stage. How biblical would this show get with it, right? But you have these monsters, these clear monsters that are, in this place. There's this constant talk about, there are things worse than death. That they are living in this sort of hellscape, right? So to have the idea that this is a potential, purgatory that these people are trying to survive and navigate and, try to get to the next stage, get to the next step. Maybe that's something we find out with Tabitha, through Tabitha, right? Maybe we find out, like, do you really want to go back there? Where you're going back is this, it's hell, right? Like that's what that is, but then also it would default to the deaths, right? Is this death, right? We're gonna, I believe, get more answers. I really do think more and more is going to start to begin to unpack and be unfolded. Victor, this seems to be a season really kind of focused on Victor unraveling the truth about the past, right? He's trying to find things even before he got there, right? And trying to remember what has changed, what has happened. And this place is constantly changing, constantly testing. And you see all these other places, right? We got to see the dungeon, got to see like this spider dwell. It's messing with your imagination, right? Like your dreams, your nightmares. Like if this was hell, like it would make sense that it was this hell, this purgatory, right? Like, and so I do think that that's and you look at again the showrunners with Lost and how that played out and stuff. It really would add up that like, hey, that's what this is. This is this purgatory. This is this hell. This is this place where, it's nothing but pain. It's nothing but misery, right? Like, and you got to kind of navigate that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think like, yeah, it's clearly this purgatory? It's clearly this hell. Do you think, no, it could be a million things. Maybe it is a pocket dimension. Maybe it is this place that you fall into. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.